In America, one road has fascinated travelers from all over the world for almost 100 years. A unique and mythical road that is part of the folklore and even the great American dream, Route 66. In the land of opportunities, this road, also known as US Highway 66, Will Rogers Highway, or the Main Street of America, originally stretched over 3,800 kilometers, connecting small towns and big cities. The eight-state snake starts in Chicago and runs through Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, before ending at Santa Monica in California. Since its establishment in 1926, Route 66 has grown with America, being a part of many obstacles the country has gone through. Poverty-stricken families escaped their former homes off to a better future on Route 66 during the Great Depression. Later, Route 66 became a military transport corridor during the Second World War, and during post-war years, Americans prospered, bought more cars, and went on vacation on Route 66. But Route 66's fame ultimately led to its downfall, when in 1956, U.S. President Dwight Eisenhower supported the construction of a new system of high-speed, limited-access, four-lane divided highways, today's interstates. Route 66 remains an American historical landmark where traces of the past lie all along the route. The old cars, the diners, the motels, the neon signs, and all its memorabilia of the 50s and 60s. This highway museum not only attracts nostalgic Americans, but people from all over the world. With most of the original roads still functional, let's take a road trip back in time through America's most iconic highway with Big Brown, a 1976 AMC Matador Brahms station wagon. The trip down memory lane starts on the intersection of South Michigan Avenue and historic US 66 in downtown Chicago. The first stop is at Lou Mitchell's Diner, a family business that's been up and running even before Route 66 was even created. Since 1923, U.S. presidents, mayors, governors, senators, and athletes have been to Lou's for top-quality food at affordable prices. Sharon Wasberg, an employee at Lou Mitchell's for 38 years, tells us more about the iconic diner and Mr. Mitchell.
Mr. Mitchell and his father built this place, and he came to work every morning. He went to the market before he came here and picked out the fruits and vegetables. And he used to stay here all day long. At 2 o'clock in the afternoon, he used to have his lunch. He used to come at 5 in the morning. At 2 in the afternoon, he had his lunch, and then he smoked a cigar. He had a cigar every day.
The restaurant has been welcoming commuters from all over the world for a good old American breakfast.
Saturday was one of our busiest days, and now it's still a Saturday and Sunday. Very busy days. There's usually a line out the door.
Delicious donut holes are handed out to customers waiting in line.
People come and they eat and they leave because they know it's busy. When Mr. Mitchell was here, he used to say, "Doesn't anyone ever go back to work?" Fun to work. It's nice meeting people all the time. We have lots of people from different countries that come here to do the Route 66. They used to come here from like different countries, Germany and whatever, on their motorcycles and do the route. There would be like 25, 30 at a time. But now they found out it's cheaper to come here and rent their motorcycles and then do the trip. But we've had people from every country. I had 3 this morning, 3 different tables that were doing it today.
Little ways down Route 66 to Chicago's suburb of Cicero, Henry's Drive-In offers the best Chicago-style hot dog around. which are best known for being a meal in itself. This classic hot dog stand was started in the 50s by Henry and has survived through the years, unlike other hot dog stands erected later on. About 50 kilometers down the highway in the city of Joliet, you can get dessert at the Rich and Creamy ice cream store. The monument has been restored to its original appearance from the booming days of Route 66. Jake and Elwood, the Blues Brothers, dance on the roof of the store, representing a part of history where Broadway was at its peak popularity. Across the street is Dick's Towing, with the original building still standing, surrounded by a series of classic cars, including a tow truck perched on the roof. Further down in Wilmington stands the Gemini Giant statue, which has been the Launching Pad restaurant's main decoration since 1965 and is recognized as one of Route 66's historical landmarks. Unfortunately, the restaurant has been closed since 2010. Be mindful of speed limits in the area. You might wind up in jail like Jake. Nearby in Joliet is the Will County Adult Detention Facility. You probably already recognize the establishment that was used to film this classic film, The Blues Brothers, where we saw Jake Blues getting out of jail. In Odell, Illinois, Standard Oil gasoline station's been there since 1932 and has kept its original look with minor adjustments. For car enthusiasts, a small break in Pontiac is a must to visit a recently opened and entirely dedicated museum, the Pontiac Oakland Brand. Strolling through the land of Lincoln, you will see the tall Paul Bunyan statue, one of several molded fiberglass sculptures of its kind. The first Paul Bunyan character was holding an axe. Then, using the same mold, other characters were created. At least 3 of them are still in Illinois, along Route 66. This particular character was originally at a hot dog restaurant in Cicero named Bunyan's. In 2002, Bunyan's closed and put the figure up for sale. The city of Atlanta in Illinois made a long-term loan arrangement with the owners to display the statue on Arch Street as a symbol of Route 66. Across the street from the Paul Bunyan statue is the iconic Palms Cafe. Once closed down and reopened 10 years ago, this Route 66 staple is a must-go for classic Route 66 fare.
The Palms Grill Cafe actually opened its doors first in August of 1934, ran through the late 1960s, and then it closed out. This building was completely gutted, and it essentially disappeared until 2008. And that's when the Atlanta Public Library decided it was going to reopen the cafe, make it operational again, and hopefully help use it to attract visitors and tourists to town because they owned the building. The building happened to be donated. I, at the time, came up with the idea and said, you know, if we really want to use this for the benefit of the town. Let's recreate the cafe and turn it into an operating entity. So we did. It opened in, I think it was April of 2009. So we're almost 10 years in operation now, and it's been wonderful. Our goal is to provide folks with a little taste, literally, of what it used to be like to stop in a small town along Route 66. We have several really interesting items on the menu that they used to serve back in the day. Fried bologna sandwiches, fried Spam sandwiches, homemade pie, and everything that is done here at the cafe is homemade. That's one of the things that distinguishes it. We really didn't know what it looked like when it first opened in 1936 until I happened to be out mowing my yard one day. It was one of those small town kind of things. A woman I didn't know pulled up in a pickup truck in front of my yard, rolled down the window, and she had known that we were going to reopen the cafe. She handed me this picture and she goes, "Here, I think you're going to want this." So we had this guide all of a sudden as to what it looked like when it first opened. The reason she had the photo, the woman standing behind the cash register in the photo is her grandmother. You really want to walk in a door and all of a sudden see and smell and taste and feel what it used to be like back in the 30s and 40s. This is the place to come.
Midway between Springfield and St. Louis is the town of Litchfield, tucked away in fields of corn, soybeans, and wheat principal crops. The Ariston Cafe was founded by Pete Adam, a Greek immigrant in Carlinville, Illinois in 1924. The cafe was originally located on Route 4, but the restaurant was relocated in Litchfield in 1929 and moved to its original location in 1935 along Route 66.
So working here at the Ariston Cafe, I believe that it's a lot more than just a restaurant. It's a business that's been here since even before 66 has even been started. And it's just been evolved just as 66 has evolved throughout time, so have we. I feel like when we get travelers that come in, it's our job to make sure they have a great experience as they come from different countries, coming to America, bringing business, keeping the small businesses alive. It's amazing just how many different places people are from. Just last week I had people from Japan, a couple from Italy on their honeymoon.
The town came close to disappearing back when the railroads were under construction. There was a debate upon which town the railroad was going to pass through coming from St. Louis, Litchfield, or the town of Hardinsburg, 2 miles southwest. When it was decided that Litchfield would have the railroads pass through, the residents of Hardinsburg had prepared for the worst and had their houses built on skids. They hooked them up on oxen and dragged them to Litchfield. As Big Brown passes through Litchfield, another restaurant, the Cozy Dog Drive-In, is a good place to stop for a delicious hot dog on a stick, an American classic. In Mount Olive, the Soulsby service station still stands since 1926. With its house and canopy gas station design, a popular style in its time. Unfortunately, it no longer serves gasoline, much like the other historic gas stations along Route 66, but it is a sight to see. The last stop in the state of Illinois is Country Classic Cars in Stunton. What began as a hobby for a Midwestern farmer grew into a collection of over 630 classic cars.
Russ, the owner, started in probably around 20 years ago, actually at his farm selling cars, and he just kept growing, and then he finally had to buy some property somewhere else. It got too big there at the farm, so he found this property, and it started with, I think, 20 cars or so, something like that, and just kept growing to what it is now today.
Country Classic Cars isn't just a museum for car fanatics to visit. You can buy them, from road-ready classics to muscle cars. You can find it at this family-owned business. But the journey has its ups and downs.
Last August, we had a fire here. We're not sure what started it, but we're thinking it was a car, possibly electrical short. And it started in the middle of the building and just spread out. You know, it was in the evening. And we actually had 13 fire departments here from different areas to get it out. I mean, it was a total loss. We lost 142 cars here. And, of course, the complete building. So we had to rebuild the building. And as you can see now, we've got most of the cars replaced with different cars.
The collection of classic cars has travelers from all over the world coming to visit through their road trip on the Mother Road.
There's so many people that drive by here, turn around and come back and look at it, and there's people from all over the world actually that plan trips, you know, to do Route 66 from Chicago to Los Angeles, and this is usually one of their stops, you know, on their trip. So we're in the summertime, it's just people non-stop coming in.
The Mississippi River divides the state of Illinois and the state of Missouri. Crossing the river, you'll take the New Chain of Rocks Bridge. This bridge has two versions. The older version was used for Route 66 prior to 1970. But now it serves only for pedestrians and cyclists as a historical landmark. Once you've crossed the river, the Gateway Arch welcomes travelers to the city of St. Louis. Standing 630 feet tall, it's the tallest arch in the world. The design was thought up by Finnish-American architect Eero Saarinen. The Gateway Arch was envisioned to revive and stimulate the economy of St. Louis. Its construction was finalized in 1965 and remains the tallest man-made structure in America. The memorial monument was dedicated to the American people, honoring the development of the westward expansion of the United States. It is a must-see for travelers on Route 66. After seeing pre-boarding exhibits featuring 60s-era animation and Gateway Arch trivia, take a tram ride to the top for beautiful views stretching up to 50 kilometers out. In St. Louis, Ted Drewer's frozen custard has become a popular treat amongst locals and tourists traveling on Highway 66. The store was built in 1941 and has kept its original design, down to the serving cups. Due to the success of the business, Ted Drews Jr. decided to expand the size of the store in 1985, having 12 serving windows instead of 5. The family business's signature treat is the Concrete, which was created in 1959. The Concrete is a custard so thick that it is served upside down. Only 2 stands out of 4 and are still up and running, both on the south side of St. Louis. Big Brown strays away from US 66, 3 miles off the highway down a winding road in the woods of Stanton, Missouri. Down a valley lies a hidden treasure beneath the ground, the Meramec Caverns. Time has allowed limestone formations to create some of the most beautiful underground wonders in the world, which stretch across 7.4 kilometers.
Most folks that come to visit the Meramec Caverns are just, a lot of them are left in awe. They don't quite know what to expect. When they leave here, they're basically reminded of how there's so much beauty beneath the earth that they didn't really expect to see.
The 400-million-year-old caves, made of limestone, have served multiple purposes over the years, from sheltering Native Americans to becoming a saltpeter plant for the manufacturing of gunpowder, to serving as a ballroom for square dancing events in the late 19th century. The cave system is one of Route 66's biggest attractions.
It's quite rich in family history as well as Missouri history. The caverns has been used in numerous Hollywood movies, and then dating back even further than that, our cave was used during the Civil War here in the United States, and even prior to that, it was used for exploration and in the hopes of finding valuables, gold, but none was ever found in our cave.
In 1935, Lester B. Dill opened the caves to tourists. Dill was the sole creator of the bumper sticker, using the stickers as a means of promoting the caverns along with billboards.
My great-grandfather first purchased this area where the cave is. What he knew that was going on was square dancing inside of the cave. It was a weekend hobby, and he used that to fund his exploration of the cave. He did weekend spelunking and during the week as well. He went on to discover the entire 7 levels of Meramec Caverns. We call ourselves the oldest stop on Route 66 because we've been here for thousands of years, literally.
Back on the main street, Big Brown heads down 23 miles to Cuba, Missouri. The Wagon Wheel Motel was built in the chaotic times of 1935, when the nation was barely out of the Depression and the Dust Bowl had destroyed millions of acres. It included the cabins, a cafe, and a gas station. Robert and Margaret Martin were the first owners of the Wagon Wheel Cabins, purchasing the land in 1934. The Martins hired Leo Friesenhand to do the building. Local farmers carried the stone to him to build the indestructible cabins. There were 14 cabins at the Wagon Wheel Motel, with 12 car shelters and 2 locked garages. But due to the increasing length of automobiles, tourism trade, and military traffic, the garages and the buildings were converted into units. After World War II, the cabins, the cafe, and the gas station were split and sold to different owners. It's still there, bearing its original look. It isn't uncommon on Route 66 to bump into friendly travelers like Vincent Dino, who's traveling Route 66 entirely on his motorbike from California.
What I'm learning the most, I think, on this trip, aside from the noted structures and the iconic symbols and visitor points, is it's the personalities and the people that I have been meeting. The people that, for instance, run this establishment, the Wagon Wheel. I spent last night at the Munger Moss and got to know Ramona, which was she's an angel, and they still have the essence of Americana. They still have the essence of friendship and neighborly love. And between Santa Monica and here, I have had issues with my motorcycles where I've had people on Route 66 see me stop, and they'll come out and render aid, and it makes you feel you're back in the 50s where people who lived in the areas wanted to make sure that they're travelers. If you were a traveler and you got stuck in their area, they were your guests. So I would say the pulse of Route 66 are the people that live and work in those communities and treat us like we're family members, not even knowing us. State by state, venue by venue, each one is the course of the meal, where I wouldn't do justice by elevating one and not comparing it to the other. There is no comparison, but if I did have to wind it down to one thing, it's the human interaction of the people who are keeping Route 66 alive, adding and maintaining these structures and buildings. There's an element where I'm on the road in these open stretches and you're enjoying this Route 66 pavement where you're lost in your thoughts. But I would have to say the maitre d' of my experience is the personalities, the human contact, the human element that really bring what really bring that movie Cars and Walt Disney alive is that personality and human touch.
Not too far down the road is the Missouri Hick. For a choice of different meats that have been smoked overnight for 12 hours, it's worth the stop to grab a bite to eat at the Missouri Hick. The two-story barbecue shack with a hillbilly theme is the pride of Dennis Miser, a master barbecuer and woodworker whose skills are displayed all over the place. From the handmade tables and chairs to the cedar stairs leading up to the balcony, there is no mistaking the skill that went into this place. 7.5 kilometers down Will Rogers Highway in Fanning, Missouri, is where you can see what used to be the world's largest rocking chair. Built on April Fool's Day in 2008, Danny's Mighty Chair is 42 feet, 4 inches high on rockers, each 31.5 feet long. It lost its title as the world's biggest rocking chair in 2015 by a 56.5-foot tall chair in Illinois, but is still a part of Route 66's Hall of Fame. The Main Street of America went through various modifications to meet the needs of the U.S. military routes during World War II, as well as when the highway was decommissioned completely. Hundreds of businesses fought to survive. This was the case for the Munger Moss Motel. It all began at the Munger Moss Sandwich Shop in Devil's Elbow, Missouri, built in 1936 by Nellie Munger and husband Emmett Moss. Unfortunately, business drastically slowed due to the relocation of Route 66 in 1942 to accommodate heavy military traffic going to and from nearby Fort Leonard Wood. The business was sold to Jesse and Pete Hudson in 1945 and moved to the town of Lebanon, 30 minutes away. They built a sandwich shop and a gas station, and a year later built the motel during the time when rationing was still enforced. Some tales say the lumber that was used to build the motel was purchased off the black market. It seems as though construction went on day and night. The feds could not stop the construction if there was no sign of the owner, so Mr. Hudson stayed hid most of the time. The new 4-lane Route 66 was opened in 1957 and bypassed the booming motel, threatening its survival. But that did not stop Mr. Hudson. He went down to the corner and placed wood plank across the ditch and formed a makeshift bridge to his motel, along with a big painted sign. Munger Moss was not going to be bypassed, and it worked. The business lives on. The last stop before heading off to the state of Kansas is Gary's Gay Parita.
This place was founded in 1926 by Fred and Gay Mason. All the buildings here were put up between 1926 and finally finished in 1930. Would have been the garage, the gas station, the house on the hill, and the white building over there was a grain and feed store. In addition to that, they had 3 cabins where people could stay and spend the night.
The owner, Gary, was always excited to meet the travelers coming through and stopping by.
Gary loved to see everyone on the route. For him, he wasn't just talking to people, he was making friends. And his motto for this place, and ours is as well, friends for life. Once you come to Parita, you're friends for life.
Route 66 only goes on for approximately 20 kilometers in the state of Kansas. If there's something worth stopping for, it's at the Cars on the Route 66 that showcases replicas from the famous cartoon movie Cars. By the way, the original version that was used by modelers at Pixar created Mater, who stands proudly next to the version that we all know. Now in Oklahoma, the first stop is at the Afton gas station. This station was neglected by its previous owner for many years. It was only in 1998 that David Kane bought the station and renovated it. Over the years, the building has housed multiple enterprises, including 24-hour gas stations, a large service garage, a beauty parlor, a Western auto store, a boat manufacturing plant, and many other businesses. The buildings today serve as a visitor center and an extensive collection of Route 66 and auto memorabilia, and houses an eclectic collection of Packard automobiles along with other significant classic cars. "30 kilometers down Route 66 is Allen's Conoco Fill-In. The tiny station was built out from the exterior wall of the final building on Main Street. It now serves as a museum and gift shop. Off the Main Street Road, a lot of travelers on their road trip down Route 66 make a detour to Foyle to see Ed Galloway's world's largest concrete totem pole at the Totem Park.
It started with Mr. Galloway. He is the totem pole creator. When he was a young man, he was always interested in woodworking. That's why he has fiddles, the beautiful furniture pieces. But I think the totem pole actually started when he was a very young man. He was in the Spanish-American War, and he was in the Philippines. And that was a particularly hard war, and that hurt his heart.
The totem is 60 feet tall and 30 feet in circumference. Inside the locked totem is a ladder that climbs up 4 stories. Ed Galloway was born in Missouri, fought in the Spanish-American War, and while on his way to California with his family, he took a temporary job in Foyle.
He built it as a way for people to enjoy each other, to fellowship. He wanted to build beautiful work and art and give it to us. He just, some of his last words were, "I did the best I knew how, built these things by the side of the road to be a friend to you." And that's what he did. He shared his artwork with the world. That's what his goal was.
He then spent 20 years teaching young boys woodworking in the Children's Home Orphanage in Sand Springs and retired in Foyle. Some might think the large totem he built was in honor of Native American tribes, but he said it just gave him something to do when he retired and would probably be a good attraction for young ones, Boy Scouts in particular, to visit. It took him 11 years to complete the large totem, which was finalized in 1948. Ed built several other sculptures around his property, but none bigger than the totem. Some people give flowers to their wives on anniversaries, but others give 80 feet long concrete sperm whales. The blue whale, one of Route 66's icons, is built along the shores of a pond in Catoosa, Oklahoma. Hugh Davis unveiled this mastodon to his wife, Zelta, on their 34th wedding anniversary in the 1970s, which he originally built for the use of just the Davis kids, with a diving platform on its tail and a slide coming out of its head. On their property, the Davises were operating an alligator farm. The Davis eventually closed the attraction in 1988. For a decade, the whale fell into disrepair, but it was too visible and too beloved to be left behind. Now, every few years, whale boosters converge on Catoosa to patch its concrete and give it a fresh coat of paint. Next stop is at Pops, a modern gas station and restaurant where you can find a signature collection of 700 kinds of soda, sparkling waters, and other ice-cold refreshments. It's hard to miss the huge neon sign in the shape of a soda pop bottle. It stands 66 feet tall in honor of Route 66.
Currently, we carry anywhere from 750 to 800 different flavors of soda. All different brands from different countries, different places. There are some that we do not get anymore that quit bottling. A lot of the bottles you see on the shelves here, they've been there for 11 years. The only time we really change is when the color goes out. So bottles, that's one of our biggest sellers. I mean, people come from all over just to go through our selection of bottles. So we have our brand, which we have a grape plains soda, which is basically grape. And then we have our orange cream, which is the oaky orange, it's creamsicle. And then we have the Round Barn root beer, which is our brand as well, which we bottle and carry on tap.
Many villages along the route try and take advantage of the renewed excitement for Route 66. It's the case of Elk City, who has proposed a museum that will please and impress the true fans of this mythical road. If you do decide to take on the entirety of Route 66, stray away from fake attractions and take advantage of the real ones. The last stop in the state of Oklahoma is a shop where nothing is for sale, and its greatest curiosities are its owners, Harley and Annabelle Russell, the mediocre music makers. If you're interested in a personal music concert, you might get lucky at the Sandhills Curiosity Shop in Eric. In the shop, you'll find old oak furniture, a variety of artwork and vintage music instruments, along with other curious and fascinating objects. Entering the land of the cowboys, in Shamrock lies the U-Drop Inn. This gas station and restaurant was built in 1936 for the amount of $23,000. The design for the place is said to be drawn by a friend of the owner, who picked up an old nail and scratched out the plans for the building in the dirt. The local newspaper said it was the swankiest of swank eating places and was the most up-to-date edifice of its kind on U.S. Highway 66 between Oklahoma City and Amarillo. It happens regularly today for customers to stop and say that they ate in the cafe 20, 30, 40, even 50 years ago. In 2003 and 2004, the building received a $1.7 million federal grant in which the city was able to hire a firm specializing in historical renovation. The building has since been restored to its original glory and adapted into a museum, visitor center, gift shop, and the city's Chamber of Commerce. In Groom, Texas, stands Slanted, one of the most iconic attractions of Route 66, the Leaning Water Tower. It is a strange sight to see, unsettling yet fascinating. Unfortunately, this leaning water tower was an ingenious marketing ploy. Ralph Britton, a man who wanted to start up a truck stop and restaurant off Route 66 in Groom, bought the water tower from the town of Leffers to attract new visitors. He towed the enormous thing 55 kilometers to Groom, wrote Brighton, USA on top, and then, using a bulldozer, elevated two of its legs off the ground, dangling them in midair without support, so that the water tower made an 80-degree angle with the ground. Passers-by would think that the tower was in the process of collapsing. Worried route takers often swerved off the road and into his truck stop, shouting, "Watch out, the tower's about to fall." Britton would say that it had been like that for years, and invited them to have some food and drinks. It worked very well to attract customers. Unfortunately, the truck stop burnt down and closed, but the Leaning Tower is still there. There is no way to miss the Big Texan in Amarillo, Texas, when passing by Route 66. The Big Texan is a restaurant, brewery, motel, gift shop, and even horse motel.
It was my father that came down. He was from Chicago, and he didn't know anything about being a cowboy, what Western was really all about. And he came down here, and he wanted to open up a cowboy restaurant. So he did everything in his power to make it cowboy. It wasn't working. But the thing that did make it cowboy was the fact that the original Big Texan was right next door to the stockyards, and there was hundreds and hundreds of cowboys that worked there every day that would come into his place every day after work, and he would cash your paychecks and sell them nickel beer. And they started acting like Texans do. So he put them at the very center table of the dining room and allowed them to do whatever they wanted to do. And if you will, paint the wet canvas of Texas. So all the tourists would come in and see this table full of cowboys, watching them act like what they expected. And that's what gave the Big Texan its personality, was the people coming here, not really what he thought he knew about being cowboy. Well, the 72-ounce steak challenge started with the same thing with my dad, about these cowboys that were in his restaurant that were acting like cowboys, and they were always trying to outdo each other. My muscle's bigger than yours. I'm smarter than you. I can eat more than you. And the eat more than you appealed to my father, and he was smart enough to say, next Friday, I got 12 seats at this table. I'll give everybody 1 pound steaks over an hour period of time, and whoever eats the most 1 pound steaks, I'm going to give it to you all free. So one cowboy ate 4.5 1-pound steaks. He was a big show-off, so he ordered a baked potato, shrimp cocktail, tossed salad, and bread with it, and he ate the entire meal. And my dad said from this day forward, in 1960, whoever can eat 4.5 pounds of beef, a baked potato, a shrimp cocktail, a roll of butter, gets it for free. And 58 years ago, it hasn't changed a bit. It's still the 72-ounce steak challenge. The quickest was by a lady who also owns all the records for it. She weighs 128 pounds, and she ate 3 72-ounce steaks in 20 minutes. The first one in 3.5 minutes. A lady, 128-pound lady, 3 72-ounce steaks in 20 minutes. But I still marvel at everybody else that comes in to try it. And it's still the same percentages. 1 out of every 6 men will take it down. 1 out of every 2 women will eat it. So the percentage hasn't changed, and it's not about the big rascal that comes in here or the little tiny guy. You never know who's going to do it. 20 minutes into the steak eating contest, you can usually tell. Route 66 gave the Big Texan its birth. It's because of Route 66 that carried all the east-west travelers through this part of Texas. And when they come through there, they wanted to see cowboys. Like if you go to Hawaii, you expect to see a girl in a grass skirt. When they come to this part of Texas, they want to see the cowboy. They want to see the big steaks. They want to see people on horseback. And that's what my father was smart enough to realize, and that's what they get to see. And if it wasn't for Route 66, it wouldn't have happened.
The Cadillac Ranch, one of Route 66's attractions west of Amarillo, Texas, was invented and built by a group of art hippies from San Francisco. The group called themselves the Ant Farm and created the piece of work for their silent partner, Amarillo billionaire Stanley Marsh III. He wanted an art piece that would turn heads, and the hippies came up with a tribute to the evolution of the Cadillac tail fin. 10 caddies were driven into one of Stanley's fields, then buried, nose down, in the dirt, supposedly at the same angle as the Great Pyramid of Giza. They faced west in a line, from the 1949 Club Sedan to the 1963 DeVille. Their tail fins held high for all to see on the empty Texas Panhandle. Since the creation of the art piece, many who've come to see it have taken the liberty of grabbing a piece and taking it home as a souvenir. This did not bother its creators, and they actually encouraged it. But as everyone took a little piece with them, the 10 Cadillacs became almost unrecognizable. Only their carcasses remain, stained by graffiti. In fact, they've been in the ground longer than they've been on the road. The art piece is now seen to represent America's hopes and dreams. Art and commerce, materialism and spiritualism, folly and fame. The last place in Texas worth seeing is the Midpoint Cafe in the town of Adrian.
We're famous for the pies, and I think very friendly people. We tried to make everybody feel like they're special when they come through the door. Yeah, and we have a great gift shop, and you can pretty much find anything you want that has Route 66 or the Midpoint Cafe or the Midpoint period. There's great photo ops here, and good food.
Yeah, great food, yeah. They bring a lot of fun, is what I think.
Yeah, they do. They bring a lot of fun.
We enjoy visiting with them and having a good time, and that we do. It's like a great job. We literally have fun every day.
The first break in the state of New Mexico could easily be at night. The Blue Swallow Motel is a must-stop if it isn't for the kitsch neon sign that lights up the night. Originally built in 1939, it keeps up with the original style inside and out. It feels like a walk back in time. Near Grants, we stumble upon a treasure trove of classic cars waiting to be refurbished. An incredible selection from Chevys to Fords, and a few imports like the famous Volkswagen Beetle. Any classic car enthusiast would revel in such a sight with hundreds of vehicles as far as the eye can see. A quick stop before hitting the road with Big Brown for a small transmission tune-up. As always, the people along Route 66 are always friendly and helpful. "15 minutes later, we're ready to roll. Making its way towards Arizona, Big Brown makes one last stop in the state of New Mexico, in Gallup, at El Rancho Hotel. El Rancho was built in 1937, originally as a base camp for movie stars. Brother of film director David Wark Griffith built it to accommodate actors when they were shooting films in the Wild West. During the 30s and 40s, 100 Western films were filmed around Gallup, with their stars staying at the El Rancho. Guests included stars such as Ronald Reagan, Humphrey Bogart, Katharine Hepburn, Mae West, and over 150 others. The place still looks and feels as it did back in the day. In Arizona, the state best known for the Grand Canyon, hidden gems reside along Route 66. The Wigwam Hotel, a distinctive historical landmark built along Route 66 in Holbrook, was built in 1950, one of 7 wigwam villages. The units are teepee-shaped,
Family business,
but were
for sure.
mistakenly named wigwams. The Pixar film Cars story is entirely based on the Route 66 experience, and one of the characters owns a motel called the Cozy Cone Motel, which is clearly inspired by the Wigwam Village in Holbrook, Arizona. The first Wigwam Village was built in 1933 by Frank Redford. It was located on the corner of US 31E and Highway 218 in Horse Cave, Kentucky. Redford created the village after adding teepee-shaped units around a museum-cum shop he had built to store his collection of Native American artifacts. He applied for a patent on the ornamental design of the teepees and was granted design patent in 1936. The original drawing includes the swastika, at the time a symbol associated with Native Americans or often worn as a good luck charm. For all the Eagles fans, the best spot to stop on Highway 66 is on the corner in Winslow, Arizona, being the setting of the Take It Easy song of the famous rock band Standing on the Corner Park has become a tourist attraction. The town of Winslow used to be the biggest town in the state of Arizona. That is up until the late 1970s, when the town was bypassed by the new Transcontinental Highway. Tourism-based businesses downtown closed up shop, and for the following 20 years, the town was frozen in time. All of this changed when in 1994, La Posada Foundation put efforts into refurbishing the La Posada Hotel, a hotel built in 1930. This revived the town. Seeing the success it had brought to the town, La Posada Foundation changed its name to Standing on a Corner Foundation and decided to build a park dedicated to the Eagles song. They hired artists to paint a mural and make a sculpture of a man standing on the corner of the park. About 177 kilometers down Route 66 is another historic eatery called Deligatolo's Snowcap Drive-In in Seligman, Arizona. The drive-in was built in 1953 by local resident Juan Delgadolo. Delgadolo built the restaurant mostly from scrap lumber, obtained from the nearby Santa Fe Railroad Yard because he was working on an extremely tight budget. John Delgadolo, son of Juan Delgadolo, tells us more about his family and the drive-in.
My father built it with his father and his brothers in 1953. And he opened in June of 53. And we've been here ever since.
Juan Delgadolo's brother owned a 1936 Chevrolet hardtop and cut the roof off, adorned the vehicle with paint, horns, and various other items, including an artificial Christmas tree in the rear of the car, and they would drive it around to attract customers to the restaurant. The old Chevy is still there, parked in front. Today, people come from all over the world and stop at Deligatolo's Snowcap Drive-In for the 30s and 40s experience. Part of the service at the drive-in are the jokes. There are jokes for everything you order, which extends to the building itself. The restaurant is filled with humorous decor and comical phrases. In the back of the restaurant, there is a collection of old automobiles, which has its humorous touch as well. Nevertheless, running a drive-in is a lot of work.
It's work, a lot of work, and talking to people, having fun with people, because they come back, they bring their family, they bring their friends, because we have fun with them.
At Deligatolo's Snowcap Drive-In, it's the perfect place for someone with a good sense of humor and an appetite for great food. The last stop in Arizona is at the El Trovatore Motel in Kingman. This historic Route 66 motel started in 1937 as a service station, with the tourist court added later in 1939, and was first owned by John F. Miller. You can spend the night in the motel's Hollywood-themed rooms, which remain in the original decor of when it was built. Mr. Fisher knows exactly what Route 66 today is all about and why it remains an iconic route.
People come here for their bucket list, 66, let's say. Or younger people who come here, they do this. Or older people come here and say, we used to drive the station wagon with my grandfather all the way across Route 66. And the original people that left Oklahoma because they lost their farms because they rotated the field too much, and they drove across Route 66 to California for a better life. So that's a part of Route 66.
In the town of Kingman, classic cars are not uncommon.
Just in this town alone, there is over 350 classic cars. And once a month, they go to downtown and they drive around in procession like this for 4 hours. It's called Chill on Bill. Once a year, there's 1,000 cars come on Route 66. They do a fun run. But every few months, there's another group come here from Australia, New Zealand, either with motorcycles and it's fun to be here. It's fun to meet the people. The fun part was not remodeling it, doing all this work. The fun part is meeting people that they have in their eyes this yearn to see this, and they come all the way from the Czech Republic. Why would they want to come here? That's because there is a road like this.
Reaching the Black Mountains of Mojave County, Arizona, a small town resides called Oatman. The town started as a small mining camp soon after two prospectors struck a $10 million gold mine. The town was named Oatman in honor of Olive Oatman, a young Illinois girl who had been taken captive by Indians during her pioneer family's journey westward in 1851 and forced into slavery. She was later traded to Mojave Indians, who adopted her as a daughter and had her face tattooed in the custom of the tribe. She was released in 1856 at Fort Yuma, Arizona. After the district had produced 40 million, or approximately 2.6 billion in today's market price in gold by 1941, all of the gold extracting operations ceased, and the town changed its business to cater to travelers on Route 66. In 1953, the new highway was built and bypassed the town, and Oatman was all but abandoned. But as Route 66 gained recognition worldwide, Oatman revived. It is well known for its wild burros wandering the streets, the descendants of pack animals abandoned by early prospectors, and Sitgreaves Pass, which tops out at 3,550 feet. The pass was named after Captain Lorenzo Sitgreaves, who traveled through the area in 1851. Old Route 66 did not cut through the land. It moved with the land, unlike the new interstate. The last state sliced by the pavement of the Mother Road is California. Gifted with spectacular scenery, diversity, and wonderful weather. It is best known for its standing in show business, its premises filled with movie stars, musical artists, and popular culture. It is a place where dreams come to life for many. The first stop in California is Elmer's Bottle Tree in Oro Grande. Elmer Long's 2+ acres are crowded with hundreds of metal sculptures adorned with colored bottles and just about anything else one could imagine. Elmer was only a boy when he started collecting bottles. He found a dump with trash that went back to the 1800s, and as far as Elmer could tell, the stuff he found in them were priceless, which included bottles. Elmer's been collecting bottles for years and found a way to display them. It started with one bottle tree. Now, hundreds are planted on his land. At the pier is the Pacific Park. Several restaurants and loads of smiles and fun. You've reached the finish line, but the fun does not have to end there. Driving down Route 66 makes for a humbling experience. It shows you that happiness is in the little things. People don't go through Route 66 to make good time. They go through it to have a good time. And once in a while, it's kind of nice to slow down.